and welcome to Kester's Forest. Now growing up, I had a few different systems. Not having a lot of money, I used to play all the games on one system, and then when I was done, I'd swap it with a friend. And at one point, I had a NES, which I think I swapped for a Master System, a decision I don't really regret. But fast forward a few years, and I decided it was time to reinvest. But a NES these days can actually be quite an expensive option, especially when it comes to some of the games. So, digging into it a little, I discovered that the Japanese Famicom, upon which the NES was based, can actually in some cases be a cheaper option, and it has much the same catalogue of games.
Now this is my Famicom, which I got from eBay, and it's been modified to AV out, and personally I think it's a much better looking system with its colour scheme and its hardwired controllers. Controller 2 in fact has a built-in microphone which is compatible with some of the games. And here are some of my favourite games that I have. This is Batman. These little cartridges I think are really cool, nice and colourful, much more variety than the Western NES cartridges. And this is Salamander, which is the Japanese version of Life Force, and I'm sure you'll agree this looks absolutely awesome. Transparent blue, you can see the circuit boards inside there. I love the artwork on this as well, it looks great when plugged into the system. And one of my favourite publishers, Irem, brought this out. This is Zippy Race, and it has a red LED that lights up when you power on the system. And on the back has the instructions on a sticker, which is quite unusual. But overall, I just really love the colours.
Famously, when the system was released in North America, it went through a major redesign to make it look less like a video game system and more like a VCR. They also got rid of the hardwired controllers, so when Nintendo released their light phaser known as the NES Zapper, it was simply a case of plugging the NES Zapper into one of the controller ports. Now, Duck Hunt was one of my favourite games back in the day when I owned a NES, so I had a look on eBay to see if it was available on the Famicom. And it was only then that it occurred to me, well, how do you plug a NES Zapper into a Famicom?
Well, on closer inspection, if you look, there is a port at the front, capped off here, and this is where you plug in the gun. But it's a different size port to the one in the US.
A quick Google, and I discovered this. This is the Japanese version of the NES Zapper, released in 1984 as the Beam Gun.
Now the first thing that jumps out at you is that it's actually fairly realistic for a toy. It looks like a revolver. It has a brown wooden effect handle, moving trigger and hammer action, and obviously when this was first released in Japan this was acceptable, but when released in North America they had to make a change. And this is the plug that then goes into the front port on the Famicom. I bought my gun with 3 games: Wild Gunman, Duck Hunt and Hogans Alley, and the first thing you notice about them is that they're all purple. I guess at the time Nintendo decided to theme all their shooting games. So let's have a look at some of these then. This is my son, by the way, and first up is Duck Hunt. It's a classic game. This is definitely one of the ones that I had back in the day when I had the European Nintendo. And here we have Wild Gunman. This I didn't have, but I've always wanted it ever since I saw it featured in Back to the Future 2 with Elijah Wood shooting in the cafe, if you remember. Not a bad time there from my son. Something about these games is so simple, you could actually play these for hours doing the same thing over. And the trousers are down. And Hogans Alley, I like this game because it has 3 completely distinct modes, but this is my favourite. And the idea here is you're supposed to shoot the bad guys, but not the good guys. Not bad? And who doesn't love that music?
So there you have it, the Famicom beam gun. And I have to say, I really feel like it adds something to games like Wild Gunman and Hogans Alley. The hammer action is a really nice touch. But what do you think? Were you aware of the difference between the Japanese and the American version of the NES Zapper? Let me know down in the comments. Well, that's it for now. Take care, and I'll see you next time.